Well, hello everyone and welcome to the Grand Weaver. We are here in Albania at Selah Worship Arts. Some of you may have heard me mentioning the story of Selah just a little bit on one of our podcasts, and now here we are in Albania with Benny and Sam. So I'd love for you two, we'll jump right into it, just share a little bit about the history of Selah, about yourselves, the heart behind the ministry, and then we'll kind of go from there. So maybe Benny, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you, Eric, for this opportunity for us to tell the story. I became Christian through music, so my first ministry in Christ has been as a worship leader at my home church. Mm-hmm. For several years, I did church planting because it was a great need at that time. I would just to remind you that we used to be a North Korea of Europe. Mm-hmm. We were the only country that even wrote in our constitution in 1967 that God do not exist. And even thinking about God, the best case is you get imprisoned, the worst case you get killed. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in a family with no faith or religion or anything about God. We were brainwashed because of the communism. So I'm the first generation of believers who came to Christ in the early days of 90s. Mm-hmm. And so my first meeting with the church, it was because of a keyboard. So my band and myself, we were playing at the church at the time, and so this is how I started my life with Christ. And after, as I said, doing some ministries, church plantings and other ministries around, there was a time when I was asking God, what's next for me and my family? Mm-hmm. And God spoke to us clearly, make sure we have a second generation of worshipers. Mm-hmm. Because if you read the story of churches or movements, one of the reasons why they failed is because they didn't have a second generation to move, to take this vision and give it to the future generations. And for Albania, it's very important because, as I said, I'm the first generation of worshipers, and we want to make sure that we have more generations to come.
Yeah, such a beautiful history. And so how does this young man fit into the story?
He can tell the story himself.
So, I mean, I've been surrounded by music my whole life. As we were talking yesterday together and jamming together, I told you that I used to listen to my dad's album when I was sleeping, and now I can play and sing the songs without even having the music sheet or the lyrics. So, yeah, I grew up through that. The good thing about my faith is it was never forced. So they always allowed me to choose to go to church, to choose to read the Bible, to choose to pray. So when I was 8, that was the first time I started having those questions about God. And I went to my dad and I said, can you explain a little more? And we did the prayer together. Then after we moved in Tirana, I started playing music. So I started by playing the violin for almost 4 years. And then I asked if he could teach me guitar, and he said, well, just come with me when we do the music lessons around Tirana and you can learn some. So I learned some from there, and then I've learned quite a lot from YouTube and just like trying to play around with the guitar and stuff like that. And so I was part of the ministry because we were helping churches and conferences with the worship. So I was playing either guitar or electric guitar for that. And that was 2013 till now. And then I decided to go full-time this year. Yeah. So I'm full-time in ministry right now. Yeah. There's a lot to that story, but yeah. That's...
Second generation already. And I think what stuck out to me, just as how I fit into this story, is about 18 months ago or so, our mutual friend Jeff, who I'm traveling here with, shared the story of Selah in hopes that maybe through the network that I have in the United States that we could highlight some awareness that didn't really seem to go very far. But at the time, I remember just being drawn to you and I didn't know anything about you, because I think for me, just even as you opened with it, Benny, the idea that there's a country in Europe that doesn't have a worship tradition kind of blew my mind. Because in the United States, we spend so much time debating which music we should play or how we should do it, and should we abandon that tradition or any of these things. But we always had tradition, and we always had mentors and all of these things. And I think that's what broke my heart for this ministry, was the idea that there was a place right across from Italy that I had to look up. I'm like, okay, maybe I know where Albania is, but I looked at it and I was just drawn to, this is a strategically important part of the world, because this is like the heart of the world, and a place that doesn't have a way of expressing who God is through music. That's what captivated me. I didn't know that I would end up here today, because while I was captivated by it, I was imagining being in the United States trying to stir some people to help. And through the story of this podcast and God calling me to do that, and Jeff's invitation later to come with him, is why I'm here today. And so that's kind of how we all fit into the story. I'd love to maybe hear even how you went from church planting to Selah, in even the early days maybe, and then let's kind of tell the story of kind of how we've gotten to this point maybe in the ministry.
So it was 2009 when I finished my responsibilities in another church planting, that my mission that I was working at the time asked me to help. And we were in a phase of our lives that we were asking God, what's next for us? Mm-hmm. So God says, start this worship ministry. And for many months, actually, I refused, because I thought it was just my desire. You know, I'm a musician, I'm a pastor, so why should I do that? I knew some friends that even tried that ministry before and they failed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is this God, or is my heart, is my desire, or it's like the moment when you feel that you don't have any way to go? Mm-hmm. And for many months and weeks, I said, no, this is my heart, this is not God. And wonderfully, when God calls you, He confirmed it also from other people. And we were starting to get encouragement and prophecies and stuff from other people, that some of them that didn't even know us and our heart and our past. So when we were sure that this is what God wanted us to do, so we moved from Durrës to Tirana, which is the capital of Albania. And we were like someone that you put it in the middle of a crossroad, and he didn't know where to go. Mm-hmm. He knows he has to go somewhere, but there's no landmarks, has no signs, no directions, which is the right way or wrong way. In some ways, these things have a benefit, because you can start something from the ground and you don't have this interference from other ideas and musics and styles and denominations and theological arguments and stuff. But in the same way, it's so difficult because you don't have a foundation or the first rock of the building. And you think, all right, God, help me. So the good of these things, it's because you don't have an example to follow that push you towards asking God directly. So this is how we start our ministry. I said, God, how am I going to do this ministry? I have no clue. I have to mention that in the time I was in my 30s. So I did some church planning with no experience, and I'm inventing another ministry with no experience, no education.
And no mentors.
And no mentors. Yeah. We still don't have mentors. I found some people around the world to do that for me. But in the time, for me, it was like you put someone in the jungle and you tell him, find your way. Yeah. So this is how this ministry started. We went to the Lord and said, God, how are we going to do this? And He told me, go and talk with the pastors, share your heart, share your vision, share and see the situation where the church is when it comes to the ministry of worship through music. because this is how we call that.
Yeah, and what did you find? Give maybe our listeners a little bit of a picture of the church history in Albania.
So what we found, it's most of the churches didn't have a worship leader. The pastor was doing the worship leader, and the pastor and the cleaner and every other thing, because the church is relatively new. It's only 30 years old. And the first 10 years, it was more evangelical focus. So we want to spread the gospel. And when we thought we were going to start a proper church, it was a kind of a civil war here. So the missionaries have to leave. So the new generation of Albanian leaders come to no experience, no schooling, no education, no biblical education, and they just took the church over, and even them didn't have an understanding about this ministry. So I found the place when the only thing they know it's Sunday service. We need to sing some songs. They learn some chords from the missionary, and this is all the idea of worship.
So a little bit of church history. So fall of communism, 1989, 91, that area.
91.
Yeah, 91 in Albania. And then you have a little bit of time where all the missionaries come in and evangelism's happening and churches are starting, and then they all leave.
Yes.
And leave new believers with no mentors to
lead the church.
Lead the church. So that's, just to give a little context, that's the history of what's happening in the church in Albania. And then God calls you to step into that with no formal training or mentors and things, and says, I need you to equip the church in Albania. Is that,
I think it's important to also know about the story of the church, that before communism, there wasn't any story of church as well. So in 1912, we got the independence from the Ottoman Empire, which we were under for almost 500 years. So they kind of incorporated Islam in the country. And then after the independence, there was a time where Albania was figuring out how we were going to be governed. So there were democracy, there was a democracy time, very short. There was a kingdom time, which kind of ruined quite a lot of tradition, and also helped the invasion of Albania. And and so that, and then after the World War II, the main party that won the elections was the Communist Party. So that, so you see that there is a big gap between there. I mean, the Bible mentions, Paul mentions that he went to preach the gospel from Jerusalem to Illyricum. And Illyricum is the old name for Albania. And there are a few cities like Durrës, where we lived, where he has actually preached. So there is a story of Christianism in Albania. But then, from then till 1991, there is a big gap.
And so you are the new pioneers. Right? I mean, that's.
We can call ourselves.
I mean, but that's the reality of it. Is you're treading into new times. And so 2009, you're starting this call.
So we moved from Durrës, we came to Tirana, and in that time I was also working to support financially my family. So anytime I had a weekend off and I could travel, so we will travel to different churches, to different areas, and talk with the pastors and leaders and share the vision with them. And after we did that for 2 years, we asked God, what's next now? Because we already went all the way up and down to every city and every church in Albania. He said, go and do a weekend seminar. So now you told the idea, now show them the idea. So we went up north when we still had a good influence with the churches there, because I previously pastored the church there. And we did a weekend seminar, and everybody loved it. And from then on, we couldn't stop doing weekend seminars. And we did that for a couple of years. But in the same time, we were seeing that this is not the this window was smaller for what God wanted for us. So we continue to ask God, okay, we feel this is not the window you want, so share more with us. We need to know more. He said, this ministry will not going to be just for Albania, but this will be for the region of the Balkans, and in the future even more. And we were like, no way. We don't know how to do it here. You are calling us even, and you're expanding the borders for us. So in 2012, because of the vision, and God spoke to us, I quit the job. And so we went as a family full-time, literally by faith, to do this ministry. And since then, we have continued doing this ministry, literally by faith. And God has been so great to us in so many ways, in so many forms.
Yeah, and so maybe tell us a little bit about what's led to the school.
I mean, with the vision of the Balkan, not just Albania, we first started with also camps. So this year we actually had the 10-year anniversary of the camp, which is an amazing time for worship leaders, worship teams to come in and get trained, but at the same time, which is the biggest help that comes from this camp, is that they get to see that there is someone else in this small group of musicians and small group of worshipers that is actually doing this kind of thing. Because, you know, we said there are very few churches that even have a worship team. There are some churches that use YouTube. There are some churches that use CDs, believe it or not, in this digital time. And so...
And you know what those are.
Yeah, I know what cassettes are as well. So, we started with that, and people came, and there are so many stories from the camp that people were encouraged, people changed their lives, people started serving in their churches because they weren't sure if they wanted to serve in this area of ministry. And then we started the school in 2017. And at the time we didn't have a building, so...
But before you go there, during the time of camps, we had people from Kosovo, we had people from Macedonia, from Romania, and we thought, okay, what is happening here? So why we're having these people from the Balkans? So it came to the point when we did the worship camp, and as Sam said, we saw many, especially young people who, even children of pastors who they've been pushed to jump into a ministry and they didn't want to do it, that came at the camp, they see other young people that are doing this ministry, and they said, all right, I'm not alone.
You got a new vision.
Let's go and do that. But we saw people coming from different regions of the Balkans, and we said, all right, now we need to pray for more. So we prayed and we asked God, what's next? And he said, start the worship school. So we work hard to have a curriculum. And in the time, as Sam said, and maybe you want to share this, but we didn't have any building. We didn't have any money. We were doing all this literally by faith. And our church and our pastor was gracious enough to grant us 1 week per month, 6 to 9 p.m., the main hall of the church. So we started there the 3-year program, and we successfully graduated 7 students from that. And COVID happened, and after the COVID, it was something radical happened with this ministry. Now, instead of just having people here coming, 1 or 2, to our events, now we are being required to go and do trainings around the Balkans. So we start to do trainings in Greece, in Macedonia, in Kosovo, in Bulgaria, in Bosnia. So after we did this, we asked God, okay, why?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is the next step? I'm going to repeat this very often because this is the real story.
Yeah.
Because when you don't know how and where to go, the only way is to go to God and say, okay, you gave me the vision, now tell me.
Yeah.
So God's put in our hearts to start this 6 months residential program for the Balkans. So they can come for 6 months and live with us. And we train them biblically and also musically. One of the things that I want to really emphasize is that most of even the people who are in a ministry of music in our churches, most of them, they haven't been trained biblically or theologically. They were good to catch some chords, and they became in some ways good enough to play at least 20 songs, and they were appointed worship leaders. So there was no spiritual care for them, no training, no growth spiritually. So we started this 6 months program, which is a 2-block program. The first block is discipleship, when we talk about salvation, prayer, reading the Bible, different type of prayers, how to connect with others, how to connect with God, and how Jesus will lead the worship, and lots of basic discipleship teachings. And we have the second group trimester, that it's more focused on leadership. Now, what you have learned as a disciple, you have to go and pass it to others to make disciples. And also we go from music theory to the songwriting and arrangements and different sets of worship for different type of events, PA systems, audio and video and stuff like this when we can.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to highlight, because I think it's easy, especially as an American, when I first heard of Selah, the first thought I had was, oh, a music school. It's not a music school. It is really a worship leader pastoral. It's actually a pastoral equipping theology school first. And yes, you teach a lot around the arts, around songwriting and the technical arts and music theory and those types of things, but you start with, this is the foundation that you have, and that's a beautiful thing.
The first scripture that God gave us for our ministry is chapter 4 of John, verses 20 to 25. You worship somebody that you don't know. We worship somebody that we know. God is spirit, and those who want to worship him has to worship him in truth and the spirit. And this kind of worshipers God is looking for. So when we talk about worship ministry, music is 0.5% of what we teach at our ministry. The rest, it's relationship with God, using skills and gifts we have for the good of the kingdom, to serve the church and to grow the church, and use those skills also to preach the gospel and bring the kingdom. Music, it's very at the corner of all the teachings we do, because you cannot produce something that you are not.
Understood.
If you are not a follower of Jesus, you are not in love with Jesus, you cannot worship him. If you don't know him, what you going to tell about him? You know?
How are you going to write about him?
How are you going to say, oh, God, it's so good. I've heard so many songs and people sing the songs. And one of the teachings that we do a lot at our school, it's like, have you ever think about the words you sing at the song, how powerful they are? I even use an example. There are some songs that I'm scared to sing because the message there, it's so powerful. And I'm like, for example, Oceans, Spirit lead me. When the faith is without borders. Can you imagine if somebody had the faith without borders, what can happen? God said if you have a faith like a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. Can you imagine if you have a faith without borders?
Where you go,
what you can
I'll
do?
Go. Really? I don't know if I want to go there.
These are things that we want to teach to our students. It's a way of living. It's not a ministry on Sunday. What you are, you produce and you give on Sunday. And another thing is, it's not something that you can build yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a position of servant. So you are there to serve others.
Yeah.
So you have to be servant first.
So I know it's unique in Albania, this worship school, but maybe are there any programs like it in the Balkans, or how does what you're doing and what God has called you to fit in this region a little bit?
As far as we know, and we have researched, it's one ministry in Belgium which does this in a very small scale, mostly with some groups. It's not the way we do it, a 6 months program. And we know it's an they are attempting to do a kind of college in Germany, but we don't know if they succeeded or not.
Most of the schools, like theology schools, they have it as a music program. So it's not actually preparing worship leaders to lead in what's leading by the Bible, what the Bible says. So when we've traveled around the Balkans and God has opened, as we said, the ways in incredible miracles. One of the places which is very much in my heart and is I think the biggest miracle ever for our ministry is Bosnia. There are a few Albanian missionaries who've been there for almost 10 years, and they've only produced 3 or 4 believers. It's not because they didn't put in the work, it's because the ground is so hard. It's so because of all the conflicts that happened after communism fell in those countries as well. And people hate Christianism, they hate each other in that area. There was even there was a city we visited, and the city was split in two halves. The Christian Catholics and Orthodox, and the other half was the Muslims. And in Bosnia, the cross wasn't seen as salvation, it was seen as possession of the land.
As an
Invader. So I think that place for me, when it comes to like the spiritual side of things, God opening that door is an amazing opportunity to be able to serve. And there isn't, in other places, there isn't a school like this, and there isn't training. There might be music training, but not actually music lessons or things like that. So it's very new concept for this region of Europe. So,
and one of the things that struck me as we got to go and worship at church was most of the songs we sang were American songs, English songs, and we sang them in English, and we sang, I know the church we went to in particular, we sang some in English, but maybe talk about what's the Albanian church tradition in terms of songs, or even the Balkan states, like how much music is there in native languages?
It's very little. I can count with one hand all the albums that we produce in Albanian. And most of them, if you hear them, they are kind of a copycat of the world music, the same style, the same way, same structures of word. So it's more like an imitation, and it's not a new creation, or it's not the real voice. For example, this summer, in the beginning of July, we were in Romania to train a group of young musicians there. They were so good. I wish I was that good on their age, They
were 10 to 13 years old.
So you can put them with Bethel and you barely see the difference in quality of music. But they were singing all these Bethel songs, hill songs, which it's not bad. I'm not criticizing anyone here. But for us, it's the time to find our voice. The worship that comes from the ground, the worship that God put in our hearts and made us this way, this culturally, as a human being, as a form with good and bad and wounds and joy and everything that we've been through, to worship the Lord from our own heart without being pushed to sing other people's songs. And another thing that is wrong with that, it's because everybody thinks that they can translate the song, you know, and we have 5 or 6 translations. Some of them are very bad, and it's so difficult. For example, when we do like national events, we do lots of national events here, when all the Church of Albania come together, it's so difficult to choose the right translation. So one of the things that we've been encouraging all the churches and all the musicians, is we need to study the folk. We need to study the nation heart and make that and produce something for the Lord, you know, that comes from the ground, that come from our nature, that come from our culture, they come from our way of being, you know, and not just copycat always other worshippers. I'm saying it's not wrong to sing songs, you know, from Bethel or whatever, but we need to find our own voice.
Absolutely, and I think that's super. I think back to, you know, reflecting on my own journey with Selah. What was captivating to me was not only the idea that you had no mentors in church tradition, but the fact that you had no songs in your own tongue was significant to me, because I lead worship in the church. I know the songs that I've connected with, and you think about how people go along, and there are times in your journey that you have a special connection to a song, a place, that place where God met you. Exactly. And for me, oftentimes it's been, God has met me through music and spoken to my heart through music. And if I didn't have that in my own, I can't even put that in my brain because that's never been my experience. But that's where I think my heart went, is, can I be part of helping Albanians have their own voice, like capture their own? I know you have your own voice. It's like you shared some songs that moved me already, but can we capture that and share that? And then you started sharing a little bit of your vision for creating a place where even people beyond Albania are capturing their story, because it's not like the United States where, well, you know, because I think I asked you guys, well, can you write one song and then translate it into 4 languages around here? Nope. It doesn't work that way. And so maybe talk a little bit about the vision for as we're kind of moving into the going forward part of things, equipping the leaders, writing the songs, but then might that play out in other ways?
So in other countries, because of the difference, you know, we were under communism, very severe, we weren't allowed to have faith. They had some religion and faith. So they are some written songs in the 80s or 70s. But it is very hard for someone that, you know, this area, the average wage, let's say, is between $600 to $800 a month, and the cost of living is more than that, especially if you're a family of like 4 or 5 people. So that means you don't have enough left to go, let's say, to a recording studio and record the song that you've written, or just they do the mixing or mastering or playing the instruments. So it's really hard to do that. It's very expensive to do that. So one of the visions to help songwriting and people, to encourage people to write songs, is creating that environment. So we want to work into making a studio here in Selah Ministries in order to enable these musicians to record the songs. And we would be helping them with either them bringing the song to us and we are working through that together, or because of having the facilities for it, they can come here, record, stay overnight, and then go back to the countries that they come from. In order to do all that, as I said, even for us, we've been doing this ministry by faith. For me, it's been a journey learning how to do that, especially when you are 20 years old. You have your friends who have their cars and they have the best things that they could ever had. It's not that I'm lacking that, but it's been a big journey, and that continues with that too. So it means you saw it earlier, there were some monitors out there, probably 25 years old, and just making, fixing them and making them up. And that's how we've done that. So we've collected a few things, one there in the last 7 years. And we are, after 7 years, we are so close, but yet so far from achieving that. So. But that's the dream. So we want to have this place where people could come and record their songs, and it will be able to be distributed out there, either under Selah organization or just as their song, their group. But we are part of their journey.
Yeah, and I love that extension of you're helping give the church their voice. Right? In terms of just even gathering in worship on Sundays and those types of things. But then you're also saying, hey, in the Balkans, as you find your voice, let's help you share that voice with others. Because we know, I'm sure, many examples of God uses music. Why do we all love music so much? I think because God uses music to disarm people and to speak to people in a way that lands differently sometimes, right? It's sometimes you can get a little tied up in the emotional side of music, but the reality is our response, and I love that you start with who God is, because when I start to understand who He is and how much He loves me, I can't help but have an emotional response. But not everybody gets that connection through just reading His Word. Sometimes it comes through somebody in my own experience articulating that same thing that I can relate to. And I love the idea that we collectively and the people that we're inviting to listen to this podcast can be part of equipping this ministry to be the place where people come to share the voice and it goes out. Like I just see this picture of this going out in this region. And so maybe if you could, we didn't even share the story of this place, because when Jeff shared Selah with me, the reason why that was happening was because we were trying to raise awareness in the United States to help you guys get into a worship arts school. Yeah. Now, I felt completely unsuccessful in my attempts in the United States, but God seemed to have some other plans. So maybe share a little bit about how we ended up in the place that we're in today.
This is a wonderful story. We started to spread the word around that we want to start this school. And we were approached from another ministry, and I don't want to mention names, but they own the building here. And because most of their students now, they are following the biblical school online, so they are not using the facility. So they approached to us and said, hey, I've heard you want to do the school of worship. Why you don't use our building? I said, oh, it's a good idea.
This was like March 23.
23. Okay. And I said, oh, great. By faith, we were able in that time to have just a 2-bedroom and 1 living room apartment to do all ministry and training and everything. Yeah. That much we could afford at the time.
And we did the
with lots of faith again.
We did the last year there of the 3-year program. And we started like first year and second year, but then
COVID happened and stuff like this. Anyway, he said, go and talk with the director of the school and tell him that this idea came from me. He was the leader of the ministry. Mm-hmm. So I went and talked with the director, and the director said, oh, it's a good idea. I will talk with the board. He went and talked with the board, and they all loved the idea. So this was around May of 2023. And in some ways I thought, oh, now I have everything. I just have to wait for the time. Yeah. So when the summer finished, around end of August, I called the director and I said, hey, can you give me the amount of money I have to pay for using your facilities, or how we're going to do this joint venture, of the 2 schools? And he said, "Oh, I didn't call you. I forgot about to tell you, but sorry, we cannot accommodate you this year." And I'm like, "What?"
And we had started advertising.
And
the
we
school
already
in
spread and sent emails. And
January we had to start, and this was end of August, beginning of September.
And it was the first meeting of our staff after summer holidays, and it was like maybe 2nd or 3rd of September. And I went to the staff and I said, "Hey, sorry guys, I have a bad news. We're starting this new season with the bad news." They said, "What?" I said, we were supposed to start the school there, and that option is not available anymore." And Ted is one of our staff members, a missionary from the United States, said, "Okay, what God is speaking?" I said, "To be honest, in this moment, I don't know. I have to go and ask him." So next day I was doing some chores and stuff, and I like to do lots of prayer walking. And I said, "God, I'm praying for the school. You know, I have always followed you. Whatever you said, I've been trying to be faithful. But if we fast forwarded this process before you, let me be the liar and you stay always true. But if it's your heart and your will, give us a sign. We need a sign to start or not start. I don't care that I announced. I don't care that people see me as a failure. Let me be the failure, but you stay always true to your word, because you are always true to your word." The same day, this was around 9:30, 10 in the morning, the same day, 7 afternoon, a friend of mine that I wished the birthday a week before sent a message and call and everything. Didn't even bother to open the phone or text me back. Yeah. But it's a very good friend, very, very good friend. And called me that afternoon and said, "Hey, are you going to do the worship school?" I said, "That was the plan, but in this moment, I don't know." But I said, "I wrote you a birthday wish." The person said, "Don't worry about my birthday, but I have a gift for you for my birthday." And I'm like, "How this work? You have a gift for me for your birthday?" And the person said, "My family sold the property, and as soon as I got the share, God spoke into my heart to give it to you to rent a space for the school."
The complete share. No.
And we were like, "What?"
Yeah.
So we all cried at that moment and jumping. You should see me at the moment, like a child who got the toy of Christmas, you know. Yeah. And this is how we got this space. And
at the time, I was also in this. At the time, I was also at this crossroad myself. I was offered a job. I've multiple jobs, one in the US, one in the UK, but the UK one was a bit more lucrative. And so I was in between that, or am I going to stay here? What am I going to do, God? And I said, if you are going to do the worship school, open the doors for it to happen, and then I will stay here. I won't go anywhere. And so that kind of joins into that, under that story, and it's just like God being faithful and opening the doors for all of us to be able to do this.
And we have money for the rent until January, when we are supposed to start the school again. And we don't know how we're going to do for the
So you still enjoying this living by faith thing?
We continue to live by faith. We live as a family because none of us get paid. Yeah. We don't have... I have a little support as a person. The rest of the family, we do all volunteer work. We don't have support. Yeah. And we haven't inherited anything. Or we don't have insurance, we don't have pension funds, we don't have many things, but we trust the Lord that has everything, you know, and He has been faithful with us. We never delayed any payment. He always came through at the time, and we We don't owe any money to nobody. And he's been faithful and paid everything that he said he will do it.
Yeah. And typically I would ask what the needs are, but I think I'm going to ask the people that are listening on your behalf. And so because I've gotten to enjoy a few days with you, and it's just been a blessing to experience Albanian culture and get to know your hearts. And as these two have shared, their family is living by faith, and it's been an incredible story, and we've only shared a few glimpses of even that story, but some of the vision is continuing to expand in this region and equipping more and more worship leaders. Because one of the other things we didn't touch on that's important for people that are listening to understand is these worship leaders are coming to this school and then going back and working their full-time job and then serving for free in the church. They are not coming, they're not typically coming to develop their career in leading worship. They're going to serve people. You are serving people who are going to serve. And so that the continued expansion of that vision within this region, you're doing events like the one you're leaving for later in this week. You're building a recording studio here as much as God provides for that, so that you can give voice to not only Albanians, but throughout the Balkans and this whole region. And so there's just a lot going on in this. Normally I ask, what's your vision? It's like, I'm loving what's happening in the vision for it. And then the follow-up question I ask is, okay, well, what's the need? Well, the need's pretty clear. And my sense of the two of you is you're not so much for just wanting to go out and promote and ask because you want the motives to be pure. And to my American listeners, I shared with these two, I wish I could pack up my studio, which gets relatively little use, and just send it over here because it would be so much more used and valuable and significant. And I think there's opportunities. And so if you're being stirred, if you're a little tired of all of the debating and all the distraction in the United States, and you wanna resonate with a place where they are going to absolutely take every dollar and use that to spread the word of God, I would encourage you and invite you to join in. We can get specific about recording equipment, financial assistance. The dollar goes, I will tell you, I've experienced this last, the dollar goes a long way here, and it's really, really beneficial, and there is eternal kingdom impact. And I will end with this, and what I would like to do later is as a family, we got to experience the other night in this room, their family sharing with me a song in Albanian that was the Numbers passage, the blessing. Yes. And in the United States, that's a pretty popular song, the other version of it, which doesn't translate, but it's a beautiful song in Albanian. And the reason I think it was capturing me was when we understand and we think about the generational impact, because it's so easy for us to think about the short-term things that we want to do and accomplish and share the short-term stories, but the reality is we know that this is changing generations. And not just one or two, but 1,000, right? That's what you guys are on the front lines of. And that's the opportunity that people who hear this podcast are stirred, and God has provided the resources for, and we're wondering, God, what do you want me to do with that? If you resonate with what God is doing in this region through these men and their beautiful wife and sister stepping out in faith, and Ted and Nita, the others that are coming alongside Selah and serving, if you resonate with that, I invite you to come and join in. We will give you details about exactly how you could support the ministry financially. I'm pretty excited. I'm going to be asking some of you personally. Just going to tell you that right now, because I know your heart, and there's just some great opportunity to really help change fundamentally lives in this region. It's not just about creating music. Like, that's what I love about it, is changing lives for generations, families, whole family structures. What you started the whole call with. Yeah. Have a second generation, right? Well, how about a third and a fourth or 1,000th generation? So, any final things you want to share with us?
Yeah, I just wanted to share. We have a dream, and one of the dreams we have is to own a building for 2 reasons. That building will help us to do more, and not be restricted by time frames and end of the months and stuff like this.
Not enough room.
But more than everything, it's we want to build a place when all the musicians can come and be together and encourage one another, and they have a place to go. Mm-hmm. Because most of these people, they don't have a place to go. Yeah. They don't have. You cannot imagine how many people come to us for counseling, for mentoring, mm-hmm. for difficult times and stuff like this. But the other thing, it's one of the strategies of the enemy of this part of the world is, for example, Muslims are building mosques even in villages when only 2% of the village is Muslim. Mm. And they're building as a landmark. Mm-hmm. If you go 200 years later, they will say, oh, this village was a Muslim village, because here there are the ruins of the mosque. Mm-hmm. I want to build that that landmark. Mm-hmm. When the next generation will come, they will say, hey, this is a Christian place. Mm-hmm. Here are the place of house of worship, when God has been worshipped in truth and spirit. I was once in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'll cut it short.
No.
And it was a Baptist church, and they have the wall of the founders. Mm. And they have like a T-shirt and a hat and glasses and everything. And one of the people there asked me, what do you want? What is your dream? I said, not for me personally, but I would love that will be one time when people in Albania will have this kind of wall, when the church will have the history. Mm-hmm. So we are, for many people it's not understandable because they are way beyond the years of pioneering things. Mm-hmm. But for us, we are making the history now. Yeah. We are in the first step of making history. Yeah. And we want to leave the landmark not for us. I'll close the ministry tomorrow if it's just for Selah or for Benny. Mm-hmm. I don't mind at all, believe me. I've done before, I can do it again. I don't care to put my name or the name of Selah. Mm-hmm. What I want is the name of Jesus. It's rooted in this land. Amen. And not just here, but in the Balkans. Yeah. And the second thing, that it's a dream that it's already fulfilled. And it's a huge blessing for me, and I couldn't do it. Any of the ministry, it's my family. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's so beautiful to serve with my wife, my son, and my daughter together as a family, and committed to this ministry together as a call of God in our lives. Yeah. I already have got my reward. The only thing I dream is to leave something for next generations.
Well, I've been missing my family the last few days, but enjoying your family. I have. Just watching your interactions and your love for one another, it's beautiful. And just watching you all just move in beautiful ways. And so, Sam, any parting things you'd like to share?
I would say we need mentors, we need prayer, we need people that will walk us alongside us with that. Because being a worship leader, being by yourself in a place where you have no help, even spiritually, there is a target on you. Mm-hmm. So there is more attacks. There's more things coming at you, like financial side of things, family side of things as well. It's not easy to have a family life, a work life, and a ministry life. Yeah. So to separate all of them, and we are in this kind of alone, I would say, and we need those kind of people to be here with us. Another thing I would add is, apart from the financial side of things, there's also a lot of work that can be done here. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about the other day, how many students can we have? Yeah. And we can have, in this building, we can have 20 to 23, 24 students. Mm-hmm. But because we are a staff of 4 people, it's even hard to have 7 residential or to 10 residential students per 6 months. So it's another need is to have people to work with us while we're here. And it's for us, it's not able to hire people, but if people want to like serve and give their lives for a short term or a long term, they can do that with us. So I would say these are the things that. But I see a lot of the students and a lot of my peers, which is the second generation, that they are starting now to walk in their call as a second generation. So I see them in position of leadership. I see them in position of mentoring other people, and it's just amazing to come together and do that together as well, like we did this year at the camp for the graduation. And there are so many stories of like how lives were changed, not just to coming to the school, but how they transformed going out of here. So how it transformed going back to their families and their churches. And there's so much more to talk, but thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you both for serving in the way that you do and for living by faith. It's inspirational to me just to hear your story and to continue trusting. Because it's one thing to say we trust, but to live it out the way that you guys are doing is beautiful. And so thank you for all the music, and your music is beautiful too. And we'll share a little bit of that. We're gonna try to capture some before I leave Albania. And thank you for your hospitality and getting to enjoy this place and dream a little bit with you guys. And I can't wait for the follow-up story, because we're trusting. We're going to trust that God's going to bring some people together and stir some hearts and continue moving in a powerful way in this region and change whole communities. That's what we're talking about. Not just families, but whole communities in this whole region, so that people say Christ was there, right? The whole region, right? Amen. So, amen. All right, well, thank you all for joining us. Blessings on you.
Blessings.
Zoti do shkëlqej